There hasn't been a new asset class since the bond market in 1693. Well, now there's a new one, and it's the digital asset space. The question is, are you participating? Hey, what's going on, guys? It's the Crypto Siege with another day in the life, in the crazy life that is the digital asset space. Good morning. Happy Tuesday to you. I'm going to cover this article. I did cover this on the stream last night, but I thought it really important to cover this thing at least one more time because I think it speaks volumes to where we are headed. I just really believe that there's more than what meets the eye to these meetings with President Trump himself, and President Xi from China. I really do. I think there's more to it than just the trade deal. I think the trade deal is important, but I think behind the scenes, they have some other things planned. I really do believe that. So let's go over this article. This is from centralbanking.com. So guys, listen, this is your XRP Ripple daily news in 0 to 10 minutes. Yao Qin, hopefully I'm saying that right, general manager of the China Securities Depository and Clearing Corporation, says that cryptocurrencies and peer-to-peer banking offer fast alternatives to the increasingly politicized SWIFT network and could help build a world currency unfettered by cross-border barriers. I think it's really important to note. He's talking cryptocurrencies. He's talking peer-to-peer banking. He's talking about the, the madness that is the SWIFT stronghold, if you will. And I think all of these point to what China's been doing with the central bank digital currency and what they're looking to do moving forward. You're going to find some very interesting names mentioned in here, names that you're probably familiar with. It's a really good write-up. So let's continue on. By the way, the title of the article is A Swift Exit with the question mark. Swift as in, yeah, So Swift is currently the main service provider for cross-border payments, remittances, clearing, and settlement. It has a monopoly. If a bank needs to carry out cross-border business, the principal requirement is to access the SWIFT network or to find another bank already connected. Some people criticize the high costs caused by the relatively long cross-border payment process, which compromises several links. The more nodes are passed, the more tolls are collected, and accordingly, the fee is higher. In addition, some believe SWIFT, which travels through multiple nodes, is not efficient enough. When a problem occurs, it takes more time to check each point of failure. And the firm has also been accused of lacking transparency. Undoubtedly, SWIFT has improved its entire system and settlement system over time through numerous initiatives, including the innovative Global Payment Initiative. Even so, despite the emergence of new technologies, some have proposed additional improvements to allow SWIFT to remain the market leader, including changes to the clearing model, improved connectivity, and digital currencies. And I think it's really important to note that Ripple has always said that they can work with SWIFT. They've always mentioned that. Brad Garlinghouse has always said they can work with SWIFT. But he's also said that, they can become SWIFT. They can replace SWIFT. SWIFT knows this. SWIFT is in a very, they're in a predicament, right? They can continue to stay relevant, or they're going to be innovated around. And then you throw in the fact that major nations like China are tired of all the different things that SWIFT has done, whether it be from the political front, whether it be just the fact that they realize and understand that there's better technology out there that can reduce the fees, that can make it significantly more efficient. So the cat's out of the bag, and SWIFT is in a very they're in a bad spot, bad predicament without question. So somebody proposes charges and clearing. All right, so some have proposed additional improvements to allow SWIFT to remain the market leader, including changes to the clearing model, improved connectivity, and digital currencies. Changes to the clearing model. The current inter-account clearing model with commercial banks at its center could be migrated to a blockchain architecture to minimize the number of intermediate links, achieving a peer-to-peer payment. This kind of technology has already been deployed. For example, in Ripple's peer-to-peer network, which is XCurrent, which uses counterparties, interbank transaction accounts in the clearing network to complete peer-to-peer payments. This all occurs at a lower cost and with greater efficiency. Again, guys, this is coming from the general manager for China's Securities Depository and Clearing Corporation. And you know what we always say, if we know, they know. And this is proof positive. This kind of, did I read it right? Yeah. Although the application of blockchain technology itself is currently inefficient, some will explore how to reduce intermediate links to improve payment efficiency. So they're talking about the banks, the intermediate banks, I forget what they call them right now, that have to kind of all have to be involved in making the SWIFT network work. I forget the name of it now. So let's talk improved connectivity. To solve the difficulty of cross-border payment, various countries' central banks should act together. Let me say that again. To solve the difficulty of cross-border payments, various countries and central banks should act together to connect their real-time gross settlement systems, the RTGS systems currently. For example, connecting FedWire and the clearinghouse interbank payment systems from the US, the clearinghouse automated system from the UK, and the Trans-European automated real-time gross settlement express transfer system, known as Target 2, from the European Union with China's high-value system in a solution still adhering to the account-based system. This is China talking about we should connect all of these different payment systems from these different countries. Doesn't this speak to the ILP? It really, really does. That's what it does. It connects networks, payment systems. All right, and then the next article is titled, not the next article, but the next paragraph in this article is the digital currency. So he's covered changes to the clearing model by using Ripple's XCurrent. He's talking about, and then he covers improved connectivity, which the ILP would definitely cover. And he's talking digital currencies. Of course, cross-border payments also require foreign exchange policies for the cross-border flow of funds. But technical issues require further discussion, like regulatory issues more likely. The current major trend is digital currency. The development of cryptocurrencies and the blockchain technology behind them have led many to question the account-based system in which they endlessly transfer from one institutional account to another, then to one overseas institutional account, and then to another. Cryptocurrencies have inspired people to solve the problem, which could be completely avoided under certain technical conditions. So this is probably more so a interpretation of what he said in Mandarin. The idea of cryptocurrencies was first raised in the late 1970s and early 1980s when the currency was digitized. The public and private key crypto systems would be used. By encrypting the message with the sender's public key and signing with the recipient's private key, we could figure out the roles of both ends. In this way, transferring digital cash directly from one end to the other would be like sending an email. How many times have we heard that from Brad Garlinghouse? How many times have we heard that from David Schwartz and the people from Ripple? Transferring digital cash directly from one end to the other would be like sending an email by using digital assets, avoiding going through so many accounts and intermediaries. Now we have David Chaum's eCash system and popular cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin. Blockchain technology will not only work for Bitcoin, but will also be widely applied in other fields. The recent introductions of Ripple's XRP. This is from the general manager of the Securities Depository Corporation, China. Not only is he familiar with XCurrent, he's also familiar with the greatest digital asset ever created, and XRP. The recent introductions of Ripple's XRP and Facebook's Libra stablecoin are based on this idea. By exchanging our national currency for XRP, let me say that again, by exchanging your national currency for XRP and then exchanging it with the currency of the counterpart country, the cross-border remittance is completed. The global currency payment system is therefore being drawn in two directions. One is to improve and optimize the original system and maintain the status quo, such as with Swift's GPI project. The second is to explore new directions, such as constructing a blockchain-based architecture. I always found it interesting, and for me, architecture is just like infrastructure in so many ways. How many of you, like myself, had found it very, very odd and interesting that one day, out of the blue, Brad Garlinghouse woke up and on his way to, being interviewed by Julia Chatterley or someone from media, he gets there, he's all dressed up, looking great, and all of a sudden he drops on us that Ripple has evolved from a fintech company selling software to banks to a blockchain infrastructure company. I find that to be really, really fascinating. So the second is to explore new directions, such as constructing a blockchain-based architecture. This has aroused controversy, mainly over whether cryptocurrency should be based on blockchain. For example, David Chaum's eCash is not based on blockchain, but it is an academically successful cryptocurrency. However, it is still necessary to study and elaborate on the plans to reform payment systems, whether we decide to improve the existing SWIFT system or to build a brand new architecture. Choose centralization or decentralization, or have blockchain-based or non-blockchain-based cryptocurrency. Libra has espoused a beautiful vision, check this out, to build a world currency. And China is saying this is a beautiful vision, a world currency without borders and with stable value, and an inclusive economic infrastructure that benefits the public good. This appeals to many countries and citizens. A world currency without borders with stable value and an inclusive economic infrastructure. XRP, to me, speaks in all of these different directions. It really, really does. It speaks to all these different attributes that they mentioned in this article. Meanwhile, two other questions have emerged. First, will a global digital currency appear in the digital world? Second, can there be a globally inclusive payment platform that is trusted by everyone? And I will say this again, like I said last night. The second, the minute, without reservation or hesitation, the second you mention Libra, you have to put trusted in capital letters, all capitals, in bold font with 10 exclamation points. Because that's where Libra will, amongst other things, fall short in this equation. So, trusted by everyone and not controlled by a single counterparty. A unified payment platform is easier to achieve than a unified global digital currency, which will find it harder to get a foothold. So the platform, they believe to be easier to put in place. We should therefore stand in awe of digital currency, but at the same time be encouraged to build an inclusive platform that will evade control by a single party, like perhaps the ILP, gifted to the W3C, and perhaps deemed a public good, so that they can gift this thing now to the world and connect every single thing, not controlled by anyone. I find this is a really great article. So this article is part of the IFF China Report 2020, which draws mainly on content provided by China headquartered think tank, the International Finance Forum, and is published in association with central banking guys. So guys, listen, I believe this article is saying China understands where we are. They understand what the good old US of A has, and they believe that Ripple, with this X current and the ILP, in my opinion, this digital asset XRP, without question, can solve a lot of the challenges that is going on with cross-border payments today. And what I'm saying to you, if the general manager from the Securities Depository, what is this title here? Let me make sure I get this right. Securities Depository and Clearing Corporation in China knows about Ripple, X current is XRP, and is pointing to many of the attributes of the ILP in terms of connecting all these different payment systems. Maybe the XRP ledger can do the same thing. I'm not sure. But I know the ILP is the connector of networks. If China knows, don't you think that Donald knows? Don't you think President knows? Don't you think Mnuchin knows? Don't you think Jay Clayton knows? I believe they do. And I believe this to be very, very exciting for us, without question, especially if we're, for those of us that are XRP hodlers. I think this speaks volumes for what major nations like China are looking at and looking into. And like I said, if we know, they know. They know. Russia knows. China knows about X current and XRP. Russia knows. If Russia knows, Iran knows. It's just really, I believe, ultimately a matter of time. What's the reason why Ripple is working with so many governments and central banks around the world, educating and perhaps blockchain infrastructuring? This is really exciting times, and I hope you are excited about where you are, where you sit in this digital asset space, guys. Again, I want to remind you that this should be a head up and shoulders moment for you in your life. Why? Because you're an early adopter in an entirely new asset class that is a digital asset space. You're early. You own digital assets that wealthy people don't even know about. You get that? Right? You, my friend, you and I, we're playing a game that 99.99% of the masses don't even know is being played. And we're winning. All right, guys, listen, I'm going to wrap up this video like I do all of my videos and remind you of this. Old money doesn't want you to win. They don't want us to win. They would rather us remain a cog in their perpetual wheel of trading our time for dollars. They don't want us to play in the same playground that they play in, where we allow our money to work for us. This is our chance to win, guys. The digital asset space is our chance to win. We are in the midst of the greatest transfer of wealth in the history of man. Are you participating, or are you standing on the sidelines? Here's what I do know, that the battle for you has already been fought, and the victory is yours. Go get it. I'll talk to you soon, guys. See ya. Bye.